Epic Whale, Malibuca. We're having a mix of players from multiple regions. It's game number 1. We're diving into the match here. It's going to be an interesting play. Is there one team, I know you had your prediction, but is there one team you're really looking forward to watching and seeing how they perform here?
Okay, so obviously I'm picking Cammy and Zeddy, of course, to perform very well, but I'm going back to the boys.
Okay.
You know, I've said it every day. West has a special place in my heart, so you already know Epic Whale, Malibuca, the top West player, top EU player, in my opinion, here together and today in one of the strongest POAs, like Levin mentioned. So, well, I didn't want to necessarily pick the same pick as him, I'll be honest. I definitely do like their odds here, especially with how strong Loot Lake is as a POI.
Yeah, I love the banter. And for me, you know, big fan of NA East. So Acorn, Edgy, going to be looking out for those guys, seeing how they perform. One of the things that I think they've struggled with throughout FNCS playing together has been that Storm Surge. But over the past couple of weeks, it's been a lot better. They've been a lot more consistent. Nonetheless, it looks like Draftel already has an elimination here. Arab's picking up a knock too. Look who just got knocked. Draftel actually is going to be picking up one of the favorites, Panda.
Thomas HD is down, but Tayson is still up as a solo player, so still in it, right? But we got to talk about something else. I see this elimination feed lighting up here early. We saw Arab get an elimination, Dubs get an elimination, so players are starting to go down. These off-spawn engagements are definitely taking place, but one engagement we have to watch closely. It's the Milan Mitro, Vico Jelty, and Falconer and Arkram show over here at Daily Bugle.
The triple con at the Daily Bugle. They're throwing around the news, and sometimes it changes depending on who's writing the story. Mitro trying to get the shots out. Jelty putting the damage right back, and that's another wipe for these two. Able to get Milan and Mitro. But like you mentioned, Falconer, Arkram still in the waiting, possibly going to look to fight this. They've, for the second day of Zero Build, really walked away from this engagement, didn't want to play this out. But this is a whole new game now that we're playing with building, and we see Falconer, Arkram already starting to show that and using these awesome vending machines.
Hey, listen, I know Levin's listening, and I want him to hear this. NA West just beat an EU pro. That's all I'm saying. It was Jelty versus Mitra there, a little 1v1 action, and Jelty came on top. All I'm going to say, but regardless here, now switching up to Rocky Reels. This is a good spot as well. I think this is one of those POIs we tuned in a lot with over the last 2 days.
Definitely.
And saw a lot of action, but this is going to be a very different pace here to that action. But it does look like it's the same teams.
Yeah, and we have Peak and Rapid, like we mentioned, some of the best fraggers from the Middle Eastern region going against a duo coming from the Asia region. And it's an awesome mix already, getting to see that battle happen, a couple of shots going back and forth. And we see Rapid, Peak looking for their opportunity to get a few more mats. Doesn't look like Malfin is going to be taking shots just yet. They're waiting for their opportunity here, playing this a little slowly. And this is how these fights will go. If you were watching yesterday, fights in early game seem to happen very quickly. Things will slow down much more now as players have builds to protect themselves.
It definitely will. And that's the interesting part, right? Obviously, Zero Build, you only have maybe the cow catchers to work with, the porta forts, and then the general stuff that's already in place on the map. But now you can create your own cover at any point in time. So that changeup is definitely going to be an advantage for a lot of these players, especially the ones that know how to use it well. But looking at Redley, Frosty here, over at Chonker Speedway. This is one of, in my opinion, the best Chapter 3 drops here on the map. And part of the reason for that, Bugamiro, we already know FNCS champs right out of Chonker Speedway.
Hey, it's different when you have it uncon though. When you're having to split this, it's not as powerful, but there are still plenty of heals. You can find those chug splashes all over the place. And we see it has been split yesterday, will be split again. Redley and Frosty going to be looking to grab as much loot. But another thing we have to mention is the time of looting is increased now that you have to get all those materials. A lot of players are going to be focusing on finding full metal or 500 metal and then farming the wood and the brick as they rotate later on. The metal is that precious material that everyone is looking to have, and the more you can have in the mid towards late game is where you're going to want to be as we start to position this early game here. 79 players up. We've seen a couple of duos fall early, and we see Doken looking down, not allowing Rapid and Peak to move out of here, but this could be a tough engagement for both these teams. like I mentioned, you need to get those materials. Otherwise, you're just sitting here not being productive.
Yeah, and one interesting thing I wanted to add, right? You talked about now that they need material, it's a longer looting pattern, but also this mode with the new Storm Surge changes forces you to have to move even quicker. So while there's more to loot, you still have to move just as fast as they were in Zero Build to get positioning, get their surge tags, and get ready to go.
And we see Nutify and Ocus already looking for those surge tags that you mentioned, going up, trying to find a position here, and just farming up a little extra materials. Nut and Ocus, typically known as controller players, so using that burst assault rifle to try and get their surge. We see Cal and Nema are down below, some of the players that Ocus and Nutify are trying to take shots on, but they're just farming up that metal, whatever's left over here over at the former fortress.
Yeah, they're doing a good job here of getting the material they need. And metal being one of those extremely difficult materials to find, it's good that they have a path where they understand where it's located and they're able to hit it quickly. But looking at this path, it's Arab and Bloomy here. Two of probably our smartest in the lobby. And when I say that, I mean more from a veteran status. Obviously, Arab, and honestly, in my opinion, probably teaching a lot of these kids how to play the game with his original series inside the mine. So it's kind of interesting, right? You create all this content to teach all these players how to play the game. Now you're playing against those players. So it's kind of a full circle dynamic.
Yeah, now they get to use that info against him. We see one of these engagements going on. It's FKS sitting below Lecce trying to find some opportunity for this fight. FKS, Balor, just hanging out. They don't necessarily need to go anywhere just yet. We have 2 minutes until the storm closes, and it's not going to force this fight to happen very quickly. Someone is going to have to look for an opportunity here. Right now, patience is the key.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of keys here. Patience is definitely one of them. But if they're too patient, that Storm Surge change is going to make a huge difference. Now, for those at home that don't realize, Surge was recently changed. Back in the day, when Zone 3 presented itself, when it was open, you had 70 players in the lobby, then Surge would not be active, right? But any players above 70, it would become active and force players to get into engagements if they were below a damage threshold. The only way to get above the damage threshold is to do more damage than other players, so that forces the other players down below the threshold. Now it has changed. So what used to be 70 players in Zone 3 is now 64. So that is a dramatic difference there. You might think, oh, it's 6 players, right? It's not just 6 players. It's a lot more momentum and movement that has to take place at that part in the game. So it's definitely going to impact the players pretty significantly here in a different way than we saw in Zero Build.
Yeah, we've seen that increased pacing here in the mid game. You can't necessarily just hang out and do nothing, as we see Vadil looking at Kovacs, looking at Refsguard, trying to find those shots. Amar also looking. And like you mentioned, the changes, it's not only to zone number 3, there's also changes. So there's Storm Surge that can be active from zone 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it just used to be the odd numbers, 3, 5, and 7. Now we're currently looking at Storm Surge in every zone after 3 if we have over a certain remaining players. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out and how these players have adapted to those changes quickly.
Yeah, the way they adapt, right, is they pay attention. You look at what other players are doing great, because obviously when something new is added to the game, no one player is going to be able to master that quickly. And this has been added more recently. So what the best course of action for a lot of these players is observe, right? Observe a lot of creators, like an Aussie Antics, for example, putting out some information on how to get better, because you have to be versatile. You have to be willing to watch multiple angles to figure out how to be the best at something.
Yeah, and it takes time, you know. Obviously, you need to build that experience. It doesn't come normally. So the teams that were typically good on Surge will continue to be good on Surge. There might be a few changes. A couple of teams that look to fight early are going to get rewarded with that. We do see that Dokkan and Malfin have not removed themselves from this POI. They're still hanging up on that screen, and do see a couple of duos rotating by. That's Macwood Threats, that's Arab Bloomy looking to make the rotation here. And they're going to have to continue to go back into Storm to avoid getting fought or even tagged up while they make this rotate. not a bad play to avoid being seen and put themselves in a better position.
I feel like we've seen a lot of Macwood in Storm. It's been interesting. It's not what I'm used to when I see Macwood, right? Think of the days landing north side of the map and just rushing in, getting positioning early, doing whatever he can to stay out of the storm. Now we see quite the opposite situation, but I see why. Look at that. Med mist, med kits, chug splashes. I mean, the heals are definitely on their side when it comes to staying in storm here. But remember, you definitely want to try to keep as many of those as possible in the inventory once you go into the mid and late game.
And we see Malfin, Dokkan starting to move out of here. They're going to now allow these players that we've seen on the south side to rotate out. Some other players hanging out in Storm. Our winners from yesterday, Pink and Anas, they got to be feeling good after what happened. You know, ride that momentum into this next tournament.
You absolutely have to. And again, I talked about it a little bit yesterday with you, but it's kind of exciting, right? You look at Pink, moments away from moving to NA, duoing with Clicks, right? What could have been a completely different story here for him now. He's here back with Anas, playing with an EU duo, and now not only coming off the win of Zero Builds, he's playing now in his game mode, in his comfort zone. So it's going to be interesting to see how much better he can be going into the day.
And they talked about it, how much work, effort. Nonetheless, we'll get back to that. Looks like Macwood is getting pressured here. This is another duo in Storm. Andy and Chapix, another Titan over from EU, putting pressure on, taking shots, trading damage. And it looks like Macwood is on his back foot, trying to get that HP back up. I don't see threats. There is one elimination there. He has been taken out there already by Chapix. Continuing, he does get knocked. Macwood needs to get that finish. He's got a couple of ticks left, does get it just in time, but is he going to be able to finish up Andy, or is the pressure going to stop? Andy backing on off, Macwood following the pressure, and now they're both going to take a moment, heal up, take their breath.
Man, and that was not looking good there for Macwood for a second, but still in it here. Andy also in it now. Andy on the prowl, aggression in hand, ready to go, ready to dive into the box. He's just looking, trying to navigate where Macwood could possibly be. You see the chug splashes come out. Now it's all full force. Will you be able to get some shots? And he does. Macwood goes down, and Andy is going to be able to not only get an elimination, but potentially pick up his teammate.
Yeah, we'll see about that one. Looks like Zone is pulling up north, and he's going to have to continue to make that rotate. We're seeing another fight go on here. That's Falconer and Arkram right on the edge of Zone. We see Anas in the distance watching this fight take place. We hear the shots going on, and everyone just sitting, hearing this fight take place, and they're all like, all right, cool, I'll let you guys fight. This is free Storm Surge. I'm going to continue to take some shots and enjoy this. We see Falconer and Arkram now going to have to walk on out. Looks like they have been able to take out Carry, and that's big for that duo. That's one of the only duos, if not the only duo, taking place here in World Cup and now in Gamers 8.
Yeah, just a full circle, right? The two biggest events, in my opinion, in Fortnite history, right? When it comes down to it. So really interesting to see the consistency there over the years. But as we talk about consistency, Arkram ends up going down. Thomas HD and Tayson still in it. But as I say that, Thomas HD now out. Tayson left as a solo player. 7 HP in the Dream is just going to immediately run for zone. Smart play on his part. Taking less damage definitely makes sense. So he's going to be able to hit that med kit. But Falconer close by. I don't know that he realizes how weak Tayson actually is.
Yeah, I don't know that he'll still be weak by the time we get there. Now we're tuning back in with Mersash and Bad Sniper. Just took out Duke and Clicks. They're getting themselves involved in another fight here. Looks like whatever Malfin and Dokkan did earlier on, they're almost 500 up above on Storm Surge, and that's not going to be a problem for them. I did see Chapix go down as well, so another one of our top players going down, Pilkey and SJ following. Now it is time for this fight to happen here. Dokkan's trying to get some mats through the floor. That's not going to happen. And Mersash and Bad Sniper comfortable right now. They already have a couple of elims. They're looking fresh, healed up, and this fight looks like it's been disengaged.
It does look like they're going to go ahead and disengage here. You still hear the shots raining in around, but one player I haven't seen too much of yet is Kanata. So I'm interested to see what he's going to be up to, but that's definitely one of those players. Oh, of course, as I mentioned it, Kanata in the elimination beat, getting an elim. But now Dokkan immediately goes in, and both him and his teammate go down to Bad Sniper and Mersash. you got to be careful. Those pushes are so risky, especially when you're going up against two of EU's top players.
The bait, the inner loot goblin got to them. They couldn't avoid all that loot. They saw some of it and then had to go for the play. That was really smart by Bad Sniper and Mustache. No audio cues, not moving, allowing those players to come in and eventually taking that elimination. Actually, both of them. So 4 elims, that's got to be the most right now as we see the rotates starting to come through. This is a central map. So for our 2 top teams yesterday, or 2 out of the 3, this is a very favorable zone.
It definitely is, and we're going to definitely see some different zones here today, but Loot Lake now the center of what looks like a pretty large fight here. It's actually Leo and Polga, one of those incredible teams in the last couple days, now in the build mode, looking to make something happen. Huge shots connect there, but it's not going to be enough to convert into an elimination. Now the zone presents itself. Where will it end up? And it actually pulls back towards the water.
It's a half water zone here, and I would expect Polga and Leo to continue that pressure there onto Tayson, who I believe is still a solo. Unlikely he was able to get Thomas HD back up, and now he's gonna have to be focused on what he's doing. But Knight and Rogue Shark actually helping out Tayson on accident, taking some shots there at Polga, shooting their attention in a different direction. As we see Knight, Rogue Shark trying to figure out how they're going to make this rotation, as Jelty seems to have taken out Creo.
And Jelty feeling good. Definitely feeling good. You know, coming off the last win of the day into the games today is definitely going to be a high moment there for Jelty and Vico. Let's see if they can keep that momentum going, though, not only with the elimination of Creo, but with more to come. But Rogue Shark and Knight, this is a duo that I love seeing here, folks. They've been one of the most consistent duos to play together over the years in NA. So really excited to see them compete together yet again. But the action is unfolding now as so many players are just trying to stay positioned here and get shots where they can.
And we see 53 players still up as 4th zone is beginning to close here. Cammy and Seti, that's been a pick of maybe one guy right next to me in Panda. He's liking those 2 to play. They have been some of the top players within Europe, now looking to prove it here on the international stage. Redley and Frosty taking some shots there, a fight going on. They're trying to get some Storm Surge tags, take advantage of a fight, and hang out in their box. It's a lot of what we will see here in this 4th zone. No one really wants to risk it because you're just getting so close to those placement points. Right now, you're trying to take in information, punish players making mistakes, and take a moment to figure out your next step.
Yeah, figuring out what you're going to do next here is going to be super important. But speaking of risky, it's actually Vadil and Amar here playing box to box. It does look like Amar has gone down. Vadil now left as a solo player to clutch up here, make something happen. He's just looking to try and get that shot where he can. But no, it doesn't work out. Vadil going down here to Baylor.
He does go down, and we see Pink is also going to get knocked there in the feed. That's from Scram. So now Anas is going to have to play this as a solo. I doubt Pink is going to be able to get saved, and no, he is fully finished right there. Anas just going to be hanging out on the edge of zone. We see 5th appear, and we're going over across the water, and Storm Surge is taking effect. I believe that was Refsguard and Kovacs getting hit by it. Andalex is going to knock Kovacs, so Refsguard has to be careful. He's now a solo, and I believe he's getting hit by a Storm, so this is going to be a tough play for him to make something special happen.
It definitely is, but Anas now playing solo, playing patient. That's what you have to do in this situation. Just find some existing builds, like let them be recycled. You know, no one knows that you're there just on the corner of the zone, but at some point you're gonna have to move. You're gonna have to make a change of pace, and soon that's what's gonna have to happen here. But Ocus looking solid here with Nut. It does look like they have 3 eliminations on the board. So a really solid game 1 here for them, but will they be able to maintain that momentum?
And they're creating their own mountain here on top of the water. Call it a volcano within, creating higher and higher builds. We see Seti and Cammy already position themselves right here on the edge of zone and beginning to punish players that are making those late rotates. If you're late, you're gonna get set to detention, and that is what Cammy and Seti are starting to do.
And they're doing it well here, but looking at the rest of the lobby, everybody's getting positioned and set up for success. Ocus and Nut being one of those great teams here, positioning-wise. Now just looking to pressure Bad Sniper there and Mustache, keeping them at a distance, keeping them at arm's length. But no, when you're a little bit too aggressive towards a Bad Sniper and Mustache, they're quick to answer back.
And they will fight back. We see Okis Nut trying to hold their high ground and push these players away, claim this space all to themselves. They're doing a good job of it, but they have to be careful because other players will start to take some shots if they're over peaking. The two are pretty much in the center of this fifth zone. We're gonna see 6 now pulling over to the east. So we're going back to land, and we will be landing, docking over on this east side.
It's interesting that Nut and Okis are deciding to try and maintain height starting at this zone. You know how difficult it is material-wise to be able to maintain the high ground. And based on what I was seeing, I believe that was Nut's inventory, I don't see a grapple glove or a harpoon. So to get refreshes is going to be very, very difficult for this team, and they're going to need it if they want to maintain the high ground.
Yeah, we see they are playing for it, but another team that wants to play the high ground is the legend himself, Aqua and Veno, going up, but not going to look to play it even further. We see Vino is right down below. Okis still holding it for the time being, but if you see Vino and Aqua starting to position themselves near high ground, it's only a matter of time before they take their shot. Malibuca is going to be able to pick up another knock there, and Vino Aqua going front side here, using those grapple gloves, but does get chopped out. He should be able to get back to his teammate. Okis and Nut playing this slowly. Great position on this high ground, splitting it, making sure they're not getting overtaken from the front or back side, and just locking it in.
They're locked in. These players are locked in. You see so many incredible players still in this game. You see Cammy there. You see Epic Whale. Malibuca still in it. And Vino just swinging along there with the grapple glove, waiting to reconnect there with Aqua. Now that they are together, they are better, right? You're always better as a team here in these final moments.
The chop comes out. Looks like Nut and Okis are going to get chopped out, but reclaim the high ground. We do see Seti and Cammy locking it in there on low. They're able to hold their position very, very well, but the mid-ground is going crazy. We see Queasy getting knocked. Steno is going to go down. Vico is looking to make a play here on low. Not many materials left. Jelty is going to go down, and it looks like both players. It is going to be Edgy and Acorn looking to claim this low ground. Lots of players here on the low. The chaos is down in these builds.
So much chaos, so much action, but Vico now left as a solo player, looking to mitigate as much of that action as he can. Remember, folks, when you're solo in a situation like this, it's going to be tough to hold on, but Vico doing a good job of staying ahead there. But Nutify, Okis still somehow maintaining the high ground. But as I say that, you see the materials really begin to dwindle.
There's not much left for this train. It needs to be refueled. Can Nut and Okis find that? A couple of builds remaining. We do see Seti still staying alive without Cammy down there on the low. Hen and is doing that as well as a solo. Lots of solos remain in this match. Vico is one of them, looking to solo clutch. Frosty on the other side of this wall. Can he find it? But a duo still up and well is going to be Malibuca and Epic Whale, continuing to move through these zones.
They're doing a good job here of staying together, staying close. That's the secret here in these moments, and you see them doing it so well. Now, shots raining in. It looks like Malibuca just trying to get something. Playing so precisely. You see him not taking any kind of unnecessary risks, but as I say that, immediately trying to pressure the player above. Now, on the back foot here a little bit, looking to heal up and be ready for these next final moments.
And we see they've reclaimed the low, but we're going to start to go up. You need to get up that mountain. It is inevitable, but Okis has lost that high ground. It's Edgy that's went for it, but now he's looking for hope as he's down to a couple of HP. Vico gets taken out, and now it is Okis and Nut up on the high ground with nothing to their name as far as builds go, but that could be all that matters. They're up above. Everyone's fighting down below. They're putting shots. It's Hen going for it himself. He gets cleaned up by Nut and Okis, and Edgy goes down. That's multiple elims. That's the refresh they needed, and there's 3 duos remaining.
3 teams left here, one of them being Epic Whale and Malibuca, the only full team here left in the lobby. But actually, as I say that, it's actually not there up above, but Epic Whale going down. Polga, Leo just trying to fight it. Polga left as a solo player, ends up going down. It's Malibuca gonna be able to pick that up. Now it is just a 1v2 here. Will he be able to hold on? Oh, and oh my gosh, the elimination comes through, but it's not gonna be enough as Okis takes the victory royale.
What a performance by Malibuca, but all hats off to Nutify and Okis, claiming that high ground early, locking it in, and winning the first match of today.